Hey everybody, I'm live. With me, it's still a new thing to go live. If you guys are a young person, you don't realize that we couldn't always go live like this. I can remember when there used to be a thing called Twitter. And back in the day, I remember they launched this thing called Periscope where you can go live for the first time, and then the other platforms adopted it. So it's still kind of crazy to me that you can go live to almost 3 million people right here, but let me know if you can see me and hear me. I want to talk about a couple of things. Really, this video is a message to my kids. I'll tell you guys about myself while you're coming into the live video. I've done a lot of things in my life since I've been a teenager that I'm reflecting on right now as a 40-some-odd-year-old man. And I didn't know what I was doing when I was a teenager or since then, but I look back and everything I've done has been related. So let me tell you. So I started out as a teenager getting into martial arts, Chinese martial arts, Tai Chi, Qigong, meditation, Kung Fu. And what I didn't realize at the time is that I was really interested in martial arts because I wanted to be self-sufficient. And I wanted to be able to defend myself, especially if I did not have a gun or weapon. And to me, you know, I was into wrestling in middle school, high school, college, collegiate wrestling, which made me good at grappling and good at tournaments. And then the martial arts had more to it than just the kicking and the punching. The martial arts had meditation and Qigong, and I felt like the martial arts I was studying really was all about longevity and health and how to preserve yourself through the practice of meditation, Qigong, and fitness. And then it led to more like herbs and foods and things like that. If you guys are out there, comment so I can see you. And if you want a tip to keep these videos going, you can send a tip with the super chat option, and it helps these videos go further. That was an exercise in becoming self-reliant for my fitness, for my health, for my longevity. I remember being 18 years old and really idolizing old men who were able to do push-ups and have flexibility and be extremely mentally sharp and physically able. And I wouldn't say I'm one of those old men yet, but I'm older than I was. And now that's a part of me. You know, I feel like it's not bragging to say that I don't meet any other 40-some-odd-year-olds that are beyond my physicality. I feel pretty physical. You can go watch my YouTube videos to see. A lot of times I'm working and you can see what my body can do. And then that led me to garden a lot because my grandmaster in the martial arts, not only my mom, but my grandmaster in the martial arts really loved to grow his own food in his California home, from citrus to wheatgrass to sprouting seeds and grains. And he would make sprouted smoothies and give the fruit pulp, the wheatgrass that he would grow on the counter in the kitchen. He would give the pulp to his fruit trees and eat the lemons. And he had a koi fish pond. He would take the fish water and water his trees with it. And he just had a little small property, but he would have a little lime tree, lemon tree, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So then I got the opportunity to have a little place, a little piece of land when I was about, I don't know, maybe I was about 30. And I lived in a very, you know, humble neighborhood in, you know, the Phoenix area. And the neighborhood was built around the 1970s, so the houses were very low. Like, I bought the house for $150,000. It was like a 3-bedroom house. I converted it to be a 2-bedroom, but I really bought the house because of the landscape. It was the biggest lot in the neighborhood. So the house was very humble, but the yard was half an acre, and it was bigger than my neighbor's yard. And now that house is valued, I looked at the value that they had, $450,000. How is that possible? That in just 10 years, a house can go from $150,000 to $450,000, and the house is the same house and the property is the same property. It wasn't like a mansion was built on it. That's crazy. That scares me. So I gardened on that property. The backyard was a big open desert landscape, and I decided to plant a lot of fruit trees there that were able to grow food in the desert. And I took the, you know, the dusty, barren gravel yard, and I brought in, you know, truckloads and truckloads and truckloads and truckloads for years. I brought in wood chips, and I ended up getting like 3-4 feet of wood chips in every part of the entire property, to where my property now was a sponge obtaining moisture even in the desert. And I had a lot of things growing there, from fruit trees to herb trees to a lot of raised beds and a lot of native edibles and medicinals in the landscape. And I used to do garden tours of that property, which is how I met Nicolle. She came to one of my tours. I got divorced. I ended up asking Nicolle to go on a date, and we kept dating. So that was also an exercise in self-reliance. So this video is for my kids. I would say, you know, becoming self-reliant with your fitness. Hey, Unique Pyro, thank you for the 20. Love you too, thank you. Becoming self-sufficient with my fitness and becoming stronger than those my same age, and then learning about other cultures through my study of the martial arts, led me to go to China. And you know, 现在我会说一点中文，我很喜欢说中文，我很喜欢普通话，我很喜欢说普通话。I like speaking Chinese, and that led me into gardening. And then gardening really made me incredibly confident in myself. I felt that when I knew how to grow food in a raised bed, when I knew how to plant fruit trees, when I knew how to graft those fruit trees, and when I knew how to plant desert appropriate plants, it allowed me to have a lot of confidence in myself that I was able to go into other climates and survive and not be in the city. Even though I didn't know that at the time. I didn't like consciously think of that fact. But I gotta tell you, when you're able to punch and kick very hard, when you're able to breathe and be physically fit, and when you're able to grow your own food and go out into your native landscape, whether you live in, no matter where you live, when you can go out and you can forage for different foods in your native landscape, not just your garden, but your native wild landscape that surrounds you. It's very empowering. And then that led me to travel the world, volunteer on some other farms in Portugal and France and Spain and Hawaii and Thailand and China, of course. And of course, the United States, Canada, and see how other people were doing it. And which led me to say, hey, I want to go back to the place I was born and try to build my own life in the forest. So it wasn't just like I said, hey, I'm going to remove myself from the city and go to the forest. So if my kids are watching, I think I really enjoyed learning all the skills of self-reliance, from gardening to martial arts. And then, you know, the whole time I was also building a lot. I was building raised beds, building extensions on my house, building extension on my townhome, taking care of my vehicles, learning about wood chippers and wood chips. I worked construction when I was in high school and college. And so I felt like I could build like an amateur. And coming out here to the forest with a girl, with Nicolle, really made me the most happy I've ever been, because the girl said yes. I was never lonely. It was Nicolle and I on team Jake and Nicolle, and we'd done this together out on this property. And now my interest is in, I really want to give everything that I have learned, and I want to give everything that I have to my kids. Because I'm very jealous of those of you who are watching that have great parents and great grandparents and great great grandparents that have helped you. I very much do not agree with people that kick their kids out and say, I'm gonna teach them how to become self-sufficient. I really wish that, you know, so on my dad's side of the family, we're 100% Swedish. You know, I knew my grandpa Ernest, who came from Sweden until I was about 10 years old, and he was the one who had the thick Swedish accent, who would teach me to cook smelts. And I really wish that I would have been raised in Sweden with my Swedish family, maybe on the Swedish homestead, and I could have had, you know, my parents say, this is what our ancestors gave to us, I'm gonna give it to you. Go find yourself a wife and a family, but you can base up at the home location for your whole life, or you can help to change the home location to fit your family as well. We just love the family to be together. I would have loved that to be the case. That wasn't how it was. The Swedish people came to Minnesota, came to America. And on my mom's side, my mom's mom was born in Canada. She was the first kids of her family to come to British Columbia from the east of Canada. And I just feel this is very sad to me because I feel there's some kind of a crazy multi-generational conspiracy to separate the family from their history, from their traditions. And I think I see a lot of people out there, especially very wealthy people, very rich people, like wealthy in terms of money. I see a lot of successful, connected, wealthy people who have very big families, and the whole family is close and together. The whole family is going into the family business. Let's say, for example, Trump. I don't care what you think about Trump, but I watch videos of Trump online, and whenever I see Trump at a big event, like let's say, for instance, before he won the presidency the second time, when he was at the Republican National Convention, and his entire family is standing up there on the stage, and you see his children, you see his sons and daughter, and you see his grandchildren, and et cetera, et cetera. It looks really nice, and it looks like, and Trump's been through divorce. He's had kids with different people, but still, you see this very connected, successful family, all supporting Grandpa Donald, and very much so into the family business. So put aside your feelings for a second and just watch that image. I was very jealous of him when I saw that. I said, wow, this man is 80 years old and he's made it. He has a family who wants to see him be successful. He's still physically able, he's still mentally sharp, and he's able to be the patriarch of his family. And look at this big family that's all supporting each other back and forth. It looks like those people support each other back and forth. And I was very jealous of that. No, jealous is the wrong word. I was very inspired by that. That's the right word. And regardless of what your beliefs are, I wanted that. I wanted to have the big family. It doesn't matter if, I'm reading the comments, it doesn't matter if appearances can be deceiving. You probably don't know who Trump is, and I don't know who Trump is. But I was very inspired by the image I saw on the screen. And even if it's not the reality, it doesn't matter. Leave me in my ignorance, okay? I was inspired by the image, and the image, just like when I watched the movie Rocky, I'm inspired by that movie. I know that's not really Sylvester Stallone, but I'm inspired by the movie, okay? So I'm inspired by the image, and I would like to be the patriarch that brings my family back together and allows for the severing of the family to stop in my clan, in my line. I would love to have the ability to offer everything that I've made and built to my kids so that they can have a diving board to jump off of instead of having a forest to bushwhack through. Does that make sense? So I don't want my kids to constantly start over with a degree, start over with a career, start over with a new mortgage, start over with a new city, start over with whoa, it's exhausting. I would love for them to springboard off of the homestead and do something insanely artistic or scientific or, productive for the earth, religious, spiritual. And I would love for them to do these things without having to worry about survival. Like, I really feel like I've had to work thinking about survival so hardcore, and I've been very blessed to create the trail instead of constantly bushwhacking. Does that make sense? So I just want to talk about right now. I think that sometimes I gravitate toward a little bit of a prepper narrative and a little bit of an apocalypse narrative. I tend to watch a lot of videos and read a lot of literature that talks about the society's collapsing. And I tend to watch movies about, I don't like horror movies, but I tend to watch a lot of movies where, some society has collapsed and then there are a few survivors. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of us do that. And I think that it hasn't happened. So I'm here working on a front door right now. I just built these stairs. I just milled these stairs from the wood around the forest, and I'm also putting the second roof on the house right now, as you guys can see. So gonna have this finished in a couple days. And I was thinking about, I shouldn't sweat it so big. You know, can you imagine if I get to be 80, 90 years old or 100 years old? I would love to live into my hundreds. Can you imagine if I get to that age and everything's fine? And by fine, I mean everything is consistently how it is now. You know, my kids have kids and their kids have kids. I see my grandkids. I see my great grandkids. Society continues to function, you know, in a relatively livable style. I would be very much, maybe I would be upset that I wasted any time worrying. Does that make sense? I could perceive that in the future. I would be upset at the wasted energy and time I spent worrying. But there are some things that I'm doing now as a big raven and eat my chickens. The ravens come in and they're huge. They're like the size of eagles and they can take the chickens. I think that I've done some things that is very powerful. So let me share with you, and I hope that you wake up today and make some progress toward your life being more self-reliant, okay? I have a friend out there who's very successful financially, and their version of self-reliance is to build businesses, to have those businesses get funded by venture capitalists, to take out mortgages and add debt to their business so they can have money to then make the business grow. Thank you, Mar6230, for that donation. Thank you. Their version of self-reliance is to make themselves successful in the city landscape. Who's to fault them? You know, so far they're doing it. Where my version has been to think about how can I be self-reliant and close to nature. So I like the ability I have I walk 5 minutes that way and I could jump in my boat, which I can control right now with gas because I can afford that and gas is available, but I could always put oars in there and I can paddle out. I also have a sailboat that I can rely on the wind. No, I don't smoke weed. I don't really want to talk about that, but I don't do that. And I can take that boat into the ocean and I can catch salmon and halibut and prawn and crab for my family. The ocean is a 2-minute walk down the old logging road. Or I can go over here and I can put on my 7mm freediving suit and my mask and get my spear gun, which is right there on the deck right there. Excuse me, it's right there. And I could go into the ocean and I can dive down, hold my breath for 2 minutes, and I can shoot some fish. So like yesterday, I shot a lingcod, I shot a rockfish, and I shot a sea perch. And I grabbed a few scallops, and I grabbed some sea cucumber. And I had some friends visiting from another place in the world, and I brought it all home, and everybody ate fish tacos with the sea cucumber fried up in some butter. The butter was from a farm a couple minutes down the way, 100% grass-fed butter from this farm that I found down the way, and also the scallops. We fried some scallops with some garlic powder and stuff that we grew in the garden. And to me, that was a very, very self-reliant thing to do. And then I start thinking about AI, and I start thinking about how it's very scary if different countries get access to AI, and I'm talking true AI, not these language models, but true AI, to where, think about it, if I handed you the ultimate hacker right now, if you were able to wake up today and passwords for anything, for anyone, anywhere didn't exist, and you could go in right now and take an entire country and reset their bank balances, all their money to zero. So everybody woke up in the entire country and everything was zero. I think that's kind of a scary possible reality, maybe, if you believe AI is real. And so I start to think to myself, what if you have a bank account and you have digital money, okay, which digital money is only backed by the confidence of your neighbor. What would happen tomorrow if that money was set to zero? Do you have anything of any value physically, you know? And so I would say to my kids, if you're watching this in the future, I would say, please get some physical stores of value that are safely stored at your place, and then have a backup location, a bug out location as well. And this is why we have the tropical property as well. I have another person that I follow. I don't know this person personally, but I follow this person online. They very much so believe that true wealth is having multiple citizenship so that you can travel around the world. I think that's very powerful, is to be a citizen of different countries so that the world is more open to you. And there's a lot of things that I do, from building the greenhouse so I can garden in this colder climate, to having the chickens, to having humongous compost bays, to having 2 years worth of firewood, to having 6 different wood stoves so I have backups, to having a mill where I can mill my own lumber, to having a chainsaw that's gas powered and a chainsaw that's electric powered, to have solar panels that can power those chainsaws, but then also to have hand saws that I can use, old school hand saw, and to have the ability to provide, maybe to get 5 years ahead of firewood. So I have a lot of wood pre-cut in case gas goes away. I have a lot of batteries and solar panels so that I can run my energy off the sun. And if I need to in the wintertime, I have a generator that I can use. I found this congressperson that's now retired that lived to be, I think he's alive today, but he's in his 90s today. And he was talking about how one of the most powerful, as an American citizen, he's an American congressman, that one of the most, I think he's from Maryland. One of the most powerful things you can do is to do all your food shopping once a year. And he said that the people that are only living by shopping day to day, or they're eating out all the time, or they're shopping once a week, these people are actually not helping the system as much as somebody who would go out and do all their shopping for the year once a year. And his rationale was that if you're only getting a couple days of food at a time, if a collapse were to happen, like, do you remember in 2020 when all of a sudden all the toilet paper was gone and all the grocery stores were bare? I saw that, and I don't even go to the store that much, but there was this pandemic that went around, and all of a sudden, quickly, toilet paper was being sold online for $800 for a package of 12 rolls. I saw that. And the stores were bare very quickly, very quickly. Everybody who shops day by day and week by week quickly went to the store and they binge shopped. They binge bought everything. They became panic buying. They became panicky about their buying. And this congressman says that if you shop for the entire year, and then you store it up, so you have a year's worth of food at a time, in 6 months, if a collapse or a calamity happens, you won't need to go panic buy anything because you've still got 6 months of food stores put away. Plus, you probably have the ability to catch your fish and grow your own food. And so if you still have 4 to 6 months of food stores put away when the panic situation happens, you can add to it with your own canning, with your own jarring, with your own smoking, and with your own pickling and fermenting and things like that. So I would say to my kids, if you can have something where you can have true wealth that's not digital, that's not backed by confidence, but true wealth that's backed by something you can hold on to. Maybe it's gold or silver. Maybe it's having years worth of firewood or food, things like that. This congressman said that the most American thing you can do is do that 1 year of buying your food in advance, because it makes it so that you're spending a lot of money all at once. So let's say, what does a year of food cost you? Okay, boom, all that money goes right to the American farmers. They get an influx of money that they can now hold on to. And if ever a situation were to happen where everybody's panic buying, you're not. So the food that you normally would panic buy is sitting on the shelf for somebody else to get, because you've already relaxingly pre-thought your pantry and grocery list for your family, and you only have what you need. You're not hoarding a bunch of food, panic buying that's going to go to waste because you overbought, or that you were scared. And I think that he made a good point. I'll put his name down in the description when this video ends. And then it went to a tour of his off-grid home, this congressman from Maryland, and it was a great home. It had, you know, a wood stove in it. It had a water tank that was heated by the wood stove. It was a truly off-grid home that he lived in with his family. So there you go. That's the things I'm thinking about right now. I just had to say that on video because I listen to a lot of things and I'm not talking as much as I normally do. And then if I talk to you guys, then I don't need to talk to Nicolle so much about this stuff, and she doesn't have to hear me nag her all the time about all these thoughts. I can just talk to her about fun things. You know what I'm saying? Let me get some comments in here. Anybody have any comments here on today? Is today Monday or Tuesday? What's today? And that's really the one thing I think about when I start feeling a lot of anxiety, like I'm doing wrong by not having this. I really feel a lot of anxiety not having this house done already. I was supposed to have this house done on my birthday, which was 3 days ago, and I didn't. And so I'm probably gonna be a month behind. So I'm trying to get us in here, and I just, I feel like a failure pretty hardcore. And so like I've been up since 3:30 in the morning this morning, you know, finishing all the projects that I couldn't do. See, it's very difficult because I want to be with my kids and my wife, and they're in the yurt, which is very nice. You know, the yurt's a lot of square footage. It's very clean, very warm. We have a kitchen. It's the same. We've had it for 8 years. It's a great environment. We've got electricity, you know, clean water, and we actually have very clean water, spring water, unlimited. And I just feel like a big failure that I don't have the bigger house, because this house really would triple our square footage for the family, and Nicolle needs it. And I don't care what your comments say. I'm not going to read them right now. Everyone that comes is going to say, Jake, you're not a failure. Jake, you're okay. I don't want to read your comments. I am a failure because I'm telling you right now that my family right now needs triple the square footage. We all of a sudden, out of nowhere, went from Jake and Nicolle to family of 5 in a very short period of time, thanks to twins. You know, we were going to try to, and this is also part of the problem. I would say to my kids, your mom and dad waited till a little bit later in life to have kids. Nicolle, not so much, because she was still in her 20s, barely, you know, when she had Fox. But I was 40 years old when Fox was officially born. Why didn't I have kids when I was 25? I was married to a really great person, to a really great girl at that time. And how come I didn't have kids with that girl at that time? Some of you say it wasn't meant to be. I said that I made a conscious choice not to have kids at that time, and probably that choice was heavily manipulated by the society that was all around me. And I probably should not have done that. I probably should have had kids, 3, 4, 5 kids at that time, because it would have been, I would love to have been 25 when I had Fox. I would be 15 years younger. It'd be great. I feel like it's going to be really terrible that he's going to be 20 and I'm going to be 60. Where if I had my kids when I was 25, I'd be 45 when they were 20, almost the age I am now. And then, I mean, like I'm telling you, when my kids get to be 22, 20 years old, I'm going to really wish I was a lot younger so I can be traveling and, you know, experiencing life with them. Yes, Anita, I agree with you there. I'm reading your comment. And also money, too. So what I would say is that I think that it is powerful to have kids, and they are a gift. And I'm very grateful that I found Nicolle to have kids. But when you're 29 and 40 having kids, instead of 20 and 25, you possibly could have a lot less kids, you know? So we like our 5-person family, but we need the more square footage. So I'm trying to get this house done, and I don't really want to film it because when I film it, I go slower. And every year that goes by, I'm getting a little more private. I don't really want to share my life as much. Does that make sense? I'll give you a little look right here, but I've been filming the whole process. I have it all on my SD cards on all my cameras. I just haven't edited the video for you guys because I'm feeling a little bit self-conscious lately. I feel kind of like a baseball player or a golfer that has a little hiccup in their swing, and I don't really have the confidence, I don't have the blind confidence I used to have. And I'm kind of feeling like I don't really know who you guys are out there. I don't really feel like sharing my life with you guys anymore because you're not somebody I know in person, to be honest. I think it's really weird that I've been uploading YouTube videos since 2007 and I don't even know who these people are who are watching my videos. It's very weird. Never before in human history have you been so open with your life through video with random strangers. And you guys might be great people. I'm sure you're great people, but I don't know who you are. And I'm starting to get a little bit self-conscious about who am I sharing these videos with that they're not really reality because they're an edited version of reality. Like I can make the video, say what I want through editing and through filming, but it's still showing myself, you know, my kids and stuff I'm working on. And I don't really know if I want to share that with you anymore. I'd rather just be, you know, my inner circle seeing what I'm doing. So thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing what your comments are. If you guys like videos like this of the updates, I'll keep doing them. So tell me in the comments if you like the updates here. You kind of see all that's going on here from my shop to finishing the second roof. This roof is done. I'm framing the inside. It's all finished. I have 2 insulation kits ready to spray on there and get that going. I'm doing spray foam insulation because it's quick, it's efficient, it's high quality, it blocks moisture, and it's gonna go on the metal and stick to the metal of the container and really block any kind of possible mold or moisture that would come in. We already have all the bottoms of these containers spray foam insulated, and I spray foam insulated the top before I put the roof on. And then we're doing things right now that are like planting our garlic and things like that. So I just want you guys to, I think I wanted my kids to watch this video because I want them to understand that there once was this young man named Jake Mace who was a teenager learning martial arts, going to China, who thought it was really cool to be a blonde-haired white boy in China who spoke Putonghua. And I really had a eye-opening experience, you know, when I went to Beijing, Shanghai, and places like that. I really loved it. And then that person got into gardening, and I just couldn't believe how satisfying it was to grow date palms and pecan trees and moringa trees in the desert of the Sonoran Valley, you know? And then that led me to realize that I was very independent at making money because I was making money from these videos that I put up on the internet. And that led me to understand, hey, I can go do these videos as I volunteer on farms with this great girl that I met named Nicolle. And then that led us to our property, and that led us to where we are now with kids and building our forever homes. So I would say to my kids watching this video, find a way to have no bills and no debt. That's a very important thing. Don't go into debt with somebody else. Have real wealth, whether that's wood, food, gold, silver, fresh spring water. And also a sign of real wealth is skills. You know, let's say that you're a master at the guitar, or a master at building, or a master at engineering, a master at welding, a master at glass blowing, a master at physical things, at writing, a master at foreign languages. These are things that will always be in demand by humans that will make you very powerful and wealthy if you have skills in something real. And then find a beautiful woman or man to have kids with when you're younger. Like, I would say 20 years old is not too young to be finding. I have a few people in my circle right now who are 20 and 22 getting married and gonna have kids. And I look at them and I go there, and they have great parents and a great community around them. And I'm like, wow, they are very blessed to have that and have the youth as well. And I feel like I want to give that to my kids, where they have the ability to find their family, but still be connected to Nicolle and I, and have the backing of our family, and nobody ever had to start over again. So there you go. Thanks for commenting. I'll go back and read all the comments here, and I'll see you guys very soon.